And that was born during Prohibition, bro. Her family used to bootleg alcohol. Like,
yo, see, now that's something I want to talk about, is like the stories that our grandparents can tell us about the things that they did, that we really don't think about or talk about today. The stories that go under the radar. That's the kind of shit that we're gonna get into tonight. I got a guest with me, by the way. I've got Joey Dastra up in the house tonight. Stay tuned, we're gonna get into it in a quick second. God damn it.
what was that?
Battery going low. Right at the time when I didn't need it to, it did. That is some shit. That's a motherfucking bitch. Well, we have Joey Dastra back in the house tonight. Here to talk some shit with y'all. Who knows what we're gonna get into? We shall see. So thank you for tuning in, y'all. The first thing I do want to talk about, actually, while we're at it, is the Stop 3 pipeline. What you know about it?
So I wish I knew more, to be quite honest with you. I'm familiar with the name, and I'm familiar with, like, the general idea of doing direct action to try to stop pipelines, especially when it's around sacred land or water. I followed, like, the Dakota Access Pipeline protests in, like, 2016 and 2017 pretty closely. But honestly, on line 3, I don't really know much of the specifics.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's kind of similar to the Keystone Pipeline.
Right.
Going through sacred land, destroying waters and lakes, more so than they had ever promised that they would do, minimal harm and all that, as they said. But it's something that's been going on all year. And they just had another protest in Minnesota today. Was it today? Yeah, today. So I just wanted to share some visuals from that, really. But Stop Line 3, hashtag Stop Line 3, make sure you are keeping up on this. I've been, like, slacking a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but it's something that I can't, like, forget about. Like, it's still constantly in the back of my head, like, what's going on with them. So for me, it's something that every now and then I'm gonna keep y'all, like, updated on and try and educate someone on just a little bit if I can. There's some savage ass motherfuckers fighting for their water up there, like, for our water, like, I'm telling you. Yeah.
And I feel like issues like that don't get enough attention because it's something that people think that you just have these activists going out and causing trouble and making a ruckus. And yeah, they are, because it matters, bro.
Right.
Because everyone deserves access to clean water. You know, if people have sacred land, we need to keep it sacred. That's the best thing to do in that situation. So to have private corporations come and ruin that for everyone is not a good time, especially when it's one thing that they're ruining it. It's another thing that they're ruining it to make profit that isn't going to come back to those communities.
Yeah, it's not going to benefit us whatsoever, or the places where that shit's coming from. They're extracting those resources from. Not to mention, majority of the people that have an issue with like, climate change people making us think about stuff, but we're making us think because we know that it's damaging stuff, whether we see it or not. And the people that have shit to say are the ones that it's out of sight, out of mind for them. It doesn't affect them. They don't handle the water in any way, or food or anything like that. So they're just like, I don't care.
Yeah. And right now, like, we have all these world leaders meeting for COP26, and what the hell are they doing? It's a lot of talk, but like they're not gonna change anything. No one's gonna fundamentally change anything that they're doing. Everybody's too busy making money, keeping the status quo.
I had just touched on this last night for our block drop, because there was a lot of protests going down, and there were raids too. Like the Scottish government, I think it was. Don't quote me, people, but I think it was that raided. I believe it was protesters. It was a building that they raided during, the summit. And for those who don't know, basically what's stated is that no country or entity is held accountable. No oil, coal, or gas company is being held accountable. Even though the levels of emissions that were agreed to be decreased by all major countries, is still not going to do a damn thing to slow or turn around any current pace of the way that things are going. That's the best way that I can put it.
Yeah, and I think like kind of what we talked about last time a little bit was this idea that it's already too late to stop what's coming. So we need to be preparing for that. But it doesn't even seem like world leaders are caring about that, because the people that are going to be prepared for it are going to provide those means for themselves, and it's going to be the extremely wealthy. They're going to make a world for them that's livable at plus 4 degrees Celsius. They're going to make a world that's livable for them, where people are going to be denied en masse access to clean water.
That's why these motherfuckers going to the motherfucking moon.
Like, they're gonna figure out a way to make sure their lives are okay, and they're not gonna give a single fuck about the rest of us. And that's just how it is.
I read something. Okay, so I was looking for topics the other night, and somebody on my team was like, okay, tax the rich versus eat the rich. So then I was like, looking up stuff, because let's face it, like, there's a big difference. And that difference is significant in showcasing where someone's mindset is on the state of the world. And it spoke on the French Revolution and how it came about, like over grain. And like the rich sold the grain to the poor and bought it back at a high price and hoarded it. And it just kept further dividing the classes. Isn't that what's going on now?
Maybe not over grain, but yeah, over a lot of other things. Hell yeah. Income inequality is going to continue to grow. Wealth inequality is going to continue to grow, and something's got to give. That's the thing is the idea of taxing the rich. It's not to fundamentally change anything. It's to try to prevent fundamental change. Now, I'm not going to be upset if we increase taxes on the ultra wealthy. That's a step in the right direction. Right. But ultimately, that's just going to allow them to maintain the massive amounts of wealth and power they have for a longer period of time. So again, it's a step in the right direction. It's something I want to see. But if things are really going to change, if something is really going to there's going to be a quote-unquote revolution. It's not going to happen through little reforms like a 1% increase in a wealth tax or whatever.
No, and that's for me personally, that is the bone that I have to pick with the tax the rich thing. And now I can't get that fucking AOC dress out of my head when I hear the phrase tax the rich, because that embodies that quote.
Right.
But eat the rich.
Yeah, it'd be very different if her dress said eat the rich and she came in there and she was going to be mean and nasty to all the other people she was schmoozing with that night. I got a lot of love for AOC. She's in a really tough spot.
Right.
She's under a lot of pressure, and she's trying to maintain the power that she's gotten to try to make whatever changes she wants to see. But like we're seeing in Congress with this infrastructure bill, progressives, they said they were going to hold the line, but they folded just the other day.
Yeah, I did hear bits and pieces of that, and I couldn't exactly follow, so help me make sense of that.
So essentially, the House progressives said that they were going to prevent a vote from happening on the basic infrastructure bill until the Senate passed the social infrastructure bill, which is the bill that people really want. It's the bill that's going to provide child care, paid family leave, expansions to Medicare and Medicaid.
The basic one is just like physical infrastructure, like roads and bridges and stuff.
Yes,
right?
which is really important.
Yes.
Don't get that twisted. It's really important, but that's not everything. That's
not improving our lives in a healthy sense.
Yeah.
Physically, yeah. But that's no. Let's break it down, because the first one is helping benefit capitalism. The second one is helping to benefit capitalism, but also our daily lives.
Yeah, it's going to ease some of the pressures. It's going to provide a bigger safety net. It's going to give people more. You know, America says we're all about freedom. Having child care that's affordable or free is going to provide parents a lot of freedom. It's going to provide older siblings a lot of freedom. Having access to proper health care provides people a lot of freedom. You know, so we can't say we're the land of the free, but like, you're free to what? You're free to be poor. You're free to suffer. You're free to die. You're not free to live. It ain't free to live.
Nope.
And it never will be, but, you know, it's going to be through these bigger investments in big social programs that are going to bring about some semblance of that. So basically, the progressives in the House, they said they weren't going to vote on it until the Senate did on the bigger social bill. The Senate didn't. The House progressives were under pressure, so they voted. They passed the regular infrastructure bill. Don't quote me, okay? But this is just my general understanding from catching up the past couple days. And now what's interesting is, as they're being called out by progressive media, they don't really know what to say other than, sorry guys, like, we did disappoint. But they can't say that because that's not the politician answer. So it has to be like, well, you know, some of us in the caucus, X, Y, and Z.
This is all making sense now, because, you know, I follow Democracy Now!
Yep.
And they've been talking about it, but I'm just like, I don't understand, like, because I haven't been following, but now it's sinking in now. And I'm not necessarily like 100% progressive, like, or like, I don't know, maybe I'm super progressive. I don't know what the name would be. But so what's gonna happen now?
I mean, they're gonna pass the regular infrastructure bill. That was pretty much a no-brainer. And they're gonna pass some form of a social infrastructure bill. What that's gonna look like, probably not good. It's not gonna have the provisions that we need to help deal with climate change. It's not gonna have things for, I think they cut the child care and the paid family leave. Or no, I think they kept the child care in some form, but they cut the paid family leave. No extension on the child tax credit, so that's gonna run out next year. There's a whole bunch of little stuff in there, I'm sure, that's nice, but it's not the robust bill that we need that, you know, Joe fucking Biden said, oh, don't worry, guys, I'm going to get in the office and I'm going to be the best president, the most progressive since FDR.
Where he at?
Yeah, exactly.
you know what I was thinking? I forgot about Kamala. I forgot she was even our fight. I don't hear nothing about her.
I mean, honestly, she's doing the Joe Biden strategy of like, the less that I'm out in the public, the less they can criticize me, so the better it is for me.
For both of them.
Yeah, and quite honestly, like, I got my own beef with Kamala Harris, but I really don't know what Democrats are planning on doing, because if Joe Biden doesn't run again in 2024, which is, if he does, good luck.
See, y'all can't see my face, but I got the stank face on right now.
Yeah.
Because that motherfucker's old as fuck as is. Y'all want him for a whole nother 4 years? We just barely getting through a year of his ass. So seriously, what are y'all Democrats gonna do?
Well, if Joe Biden doesn't run, it's probably gonna be Kamala, because she's the vice. She's kind of like the selected, and I'm sorry, but as a quote unquote lefty, I got my own beef with her. But just from the general view of the public, you really think you're gonna get like white liberal moms and dads and these blue collar suburban workers that the Democrats are barely hanging on to show up for Kamala Harris?
Nope.
And then, so what's their other option? It's gonna be like a guy like Pete Buttigieg, which I just
ain't no better.
Yeah, I don't know. In 2020, I told myself this is the last fucking time that I'm doing this lesser of two evils bullshit.
Say verbatim, me too.
So unless the Dems put up someone that I'm actually enthusiastic about, they're not getting my vote, and that's just how it is. And people can tell me that's politically irresponsible and Trump
that's politically correct. That is politically responsible. That is thinking clearly with common sense. That is being what an American is supposed to be. And I think we've somewhere along the way we've lost that.
You know,
somewhere this past century, not the one we're in now.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't pinpoint any certain location, but what I can say is like, and again, I have not been alive that long, nor politically conscious, but when's the last time that a president got elected that people were like, this is the motherfucker that is going to change shit? When was the last time that happened? Maybe JFK.
I was going to say Obama.
But, okay, Obama, but what happened?
But nothing. But prior to Obama, I would say Clinton. Prior to Clinton, I would say JFK. But that's from like a Democratic standpoint also.
Yeah.
So for Republicans, they might say other things.
Trump.
And I would see them as fucking horrible people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all relative in the past, like, 40, 50 years, right? Because it's very polarized. It's gotten more and more polarized. But you go back to, let's say, the Roosevelts, when really big policies in the formation of our government now, the modern day, as we know it, was really laid down. Somewhere between then and our modern day, things got mismatched. And like, we don't trust our government, but also our government doesn't work for our modern day either. It did when they were in office and they enacted those plans and policies. It worked, but it's not working now. I mean, look at Social Security.
Oh, no.
And I see the worth and the function in it. But capitalism is also a motherfucker. And we are not getting our dues paid of the life that we're living as Americans when generations before us got more than they could handle.
Yeah, and you know, it's just really hard because how do you get people? We're talking about a president. That election happens every 4 fucking years.
Right.
And to be honest with you, your vote doesn't matter to an extent, but you don't even really elect the president.
Nope.
So, you know, I'm all for people participating in electoral politics, especially locally. I think, guys, we got elections every year on something. Go out and vote. It's every year. first Tuesday in November every year. There's something on the ballot.
For real.
But beyond that, how do we get people to organize and start making some of these bigger movements like Stop Line 3, like Black Lives Matter, like all of these strikes we're seeing? How does that all come together to make a real political revolution?
My answer, my rebuttal is these small community grassroots things that are going on, popping up. It's nice to play whack-a-mole to tire motherfuckers out until a movement catches on. If there's enough fires to the point where none can be put out, it's just a big fucking burning flame. What are they gonna do? They like, you know what I mean? And they've been preoccupied the whole time putting out all these small flames. So like, that's my ideology behind it, is like, keep going, everybody. Like, keep doing whatever you're doing in your little corner of your universe. Just make sure that you're peeping what other people are doing too, and let it rub off on you. You know what I mean? Share ideas like, yo, this is what we did in our town, and this is how it worked for us.
Yeah. It's just so frustrating because it feels like I can't imagine what it's like to be anything other than a straight white cis male, bro. And I wake up every day pissed off. So I can't imagine what it's like for everyone fucking else, dude.
Put it this way. You're in a constant state of like PTSD and anger and like bitterness subliminally, kind of all the time. So you learn how to meter it and wager it, put it into other means of, I think it's why a lot of us are so resilient and like do so many great things and are so passionate and creative, because that energy has to go somewhere, you know? But you learn to, most of us learn to, I hate to use the word restrain it, but what else can you do? You're fed microaggressions 24/7. A lot of people are so exposed to it, but they're around other people that are exposed to it and react the same way that they do, that they react that same way, which is just completely low vibration, reactionary, ignorant, lacking of understanding reaction. And it's well-meaning because there's a place for it, and there's a time and place for everything. But there's also other people with similar experiences that may have grown up around a more relaxed understanding of processing information and being proactive, to not let certain microaggressions or things affect you as much. So you might tend to code switch or be very shy around a lot of different people. Either or variable is something that is very common in Black and brown communities, but there's other variations too.
Yeah. No, like my partner, who I've been with for almost 5 years now, it'll be 5 years in November.
How old are you?
I'm 21. I'll be 22 in November.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But they grew up here in Lancaster, and so they're a brown face in white spaces, especially at McCaskey, because they were excelling in like all of the academic shit, the music program and everything. And not that there weren't other people of color, but most of the people you're interacting with that are in the honors program and in X, Y, and Z, it's all of those lovely white kids, right? Mm-hmm. But now my partner goes to an HBCU, and so they feel like they can finally be a bit more like themselves because they feel comfortable. They feel comfortable. That's just how it is. So, you know, I think it's interesting, like when you brought up code switching, like that's something as a white guy I don't ever fucking do, or at least consciously. But I can definitely see how people of color have to. It's a survival mechanism.
There you go, survival. It's all about surviving. There are some people that, and when I think of survival, I always go back to, I just always think red. I think root chakra, and I think survival. You're in your survival mode. You're in your infancy. That's all that you're thinking about and worried about. And there's a lot of black and brown folk that are stuck in that mode and cannot get past that because they're too busy trying to survive.
Right. And so, like, going back to, like, the whole, like, president thing, Kamala Harris thing, like, so as a person of color who's just trying to survive, how does it actually make you feel when you're fed this narrative of, like, there are people in government or places of power that they represent you in terms of the color of your skin? Maybe not so much in your ideas and beliefs, but in the terms of your color of your skin. Like, what does that translate for you? That must be a complicated sort of feeling.
For me personally, because of the environments I grew up in and the complex understanding that I have of the way the world is, I don't care what fucking color you are, I'm gonna tell you to your face what I think of you and what I think you're doing, whether it's damage or constructive.
Right.
Either or has a place in this life and in this world and this plane, but I'm still going to give it to you real. I don't care what color you are. It's about the energy you exude. And the only person that I can say, because I experienced them while I'm living and they were living, was Obama, that I would say that exuded some kind of optimistic intention behind why he chose that position, why that position was given to him. And beyond that, I can't say anything else. But I will say that I like to call out coonery as fast as I see it because I like to expose it and dismiss it as soon as I can. I don't want to dwell on having discussions, not except for this one, about coons because it's counterproductive. Speaking of, though, I was talking about CRT yesterday, and the one guy in the panel was speaking about how this one organization that is seeking to dismantle CRT being taught in schools. By the way, it's not or won't be and understood not to be taught in K through 12 because it's from an educational standpoint, it's not meant to. It's for college students, but I digress. I forget what I was saying.
Yeah, well, like with the whole CRT debate, I'm just like, again, like you said, it's not meant for young students. CRT was built as a legal an understanding of the racism and like legal structures, right? So it is meant for like college age people. But even still, not so much in elementary and middle school. We didn't talk about heavy topics like that, but like
there's other ways to disclose that, like that the kind of stuff that happened for them to digest.
Yeah, and like I was just about to say, like I had good history teachers at McCaskey that showed me the true understanding that a lot of our current systems are still racist, are disproportionately advantage white people, without them going on some anti-American crusade. They were just speaking the truth. I don't understand why it's such a big debate, other than there are white people and conservatively minded people that are scared that people are going to understand the truth, which is something that is fucking hilarious to me because they're always telling us like, oh, liberal, you're a sheep, blah, 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 wake up. It's like, dude, wake up. This is just a fact. Wake up.
Oh, thank you. You said wake up. Ben Carson is the head of, well, he started this one organization that is seeking to dismantle CRT. Coonery. And I'll call it out like I see it. That's motherfucking coonery. So, to answer that question, yeah, I don't care who you are. If I think you're doing a disservice to not just black and brown communities, but Americans in general, you're just trying to harm people, or you're just trying to ride off the backs of what modern day politician is. um, I'm going to tell you you're a shit-faced motherfucker who deserves to burn in hell if that's what you perceive. Uh, yeah.
Fair, not fair. You're honest. I like that.
What about you?
It
Speaking to like white politicians, of course.
well, that's the thing is, I mean, again, like all I've really ever seen has been white faces in high places, other than Obama.
But now that you technically are a politician,
right?
What are you going to be saying to these white folk, especially pertaining to the handling and the exclusion of black and brown people?
And that's something that I'll just be 100% honest with. I struggle with because I don't know what is the right approach. I don't know what is like the, because it's confusing for a guy like me who has these ideas to want to run for office and hold positions of power and be held accountable for my actions. And one thing I do care about is, you know, inclusion and equity. But again, I'm a white guy running for a position of power that's historically been held in this country by white dudes. So it's like, do I ever feel like I'm taking the air out of a room of black and brown people? Do I ever feel like I'm possibly taking away the opportunity for people of color? No, I don't, but initially I have some problems with that because it's like, I don't want to be seen as just another white dude who's just trying to talk his shit. That, you know what I mean? Like,
I respect that vulnerability, transparency, and honesty, because, well, it's the only route that you can go, being transparent myself, because you have no sense of intersections to ride off the backs to say like other than the experiences that you do speak, that you spoke of, which does speak a lot about your viewpoint on things, which is enough, because that's enough to speak to other white folks about the issues that they have. And if you keep focusing on that and less about black and brown people, I think will speak a lot of volume. Not to say that you can't speak to black and brown people or speak for them or speak with them, but in the sense of when it comes to dealing with black and brown people, you could be making sure that you're passing the torch and handing off knowledge to say, okay, well, this space is really for you, but I need to translate what you're saying to them to get more people to jump on this bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? There's always advantage and disadvantage. And you really don't have a disadvantage because your existence is an advantage, unfortunately or fortunately, in this plane, in this society, in this country. And it's how you look at it. And I'm not saying like I just don't think that you got to that point yet. So I don't think you were being optimistic or pessimistic. I think you're just like, well, I don't know. And that's completely valid. I think that the new era of what a politician is, what a politician can be, is that full transparency and vulnerability, so we know where the fuck your head is when, or what you want to do with things, because it really should be us filling you up with ideas and things that we want you to do, not you saying, this is what I am, do you like me, vote for me. No, you should be like, I'm Joey Dastra, and we were like, okay, well, we're gonna give you this and you run with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think that's how I think that's what we're kind of propelling towards. We just haven't really realized it fully yet.
Yeah.
In a sense of it's riding off the backs of being so fucking frustrated with this two-party system and the bullshit that they keep feeding us, because it's literally, I don't even know the fucking comparison. I can't. Like, it's like, I don't know. Damn, I can't even give a fucking comparison to like, really. Yeah, like they're just both fucking horrible, and people kind of say like they're two sides to a coin, and I don't even feel like that's true. I feel like they're getting more and more similar, if anything, as time is going on.
See, that's the thing that worries me, is that, like, quote unquote, culturally, they are getting more politically divided, but in terms of actual policy, in terms of the actual economics of things, they are very similar. And so it's this fake fight that's going on in front of everyone's eyes, and we don't really get an actual choice. Going back to it, you know, you saying, like, I'm just, like, me being transparent, that's something that I care a lot about. That's something that my brother Tony cares a lot about. He was doing the work here in Lancaster to make government more transparent.
Shout out to Tony.
And one thing that's really been, like, not that I have mantras, but there are certain, like, little thoughts, little nuggets that, like, that kind of go round and round in my head. And one of them the past few weeks has been this idea of, if you want equity, you need inclusion. And if you want inclusion, you need transparency.
Yes.
That's what it all comes back to, is that we need to know what's going on in our government. There shouldn't be so many behind closed doors conversations. There shouldn't be the private dinner meetings with X, Y, and Z.
Talk about it. So, what do you feel about gatekeeping? While we're on this bandwagon, this topic here, because we really didn't talk about anything local. So while we're at it, because we're like literally like 40 minutes in, and I didn't even really like properly introduce you. Like, yeah, I said it's Joey Dastra. You've been on the show before, but Joey Dastra just did a run for city council here in Lancaster City, which is where I'm located, and our population is about 60,000, half of which is non-white. And our city is very interesting. It is an anomaly. It is very unique. It is very eclectic, very historical, very old, very brown. And locally, there are a lot of there's layers to things, right? And there's layers in ways that you can express and explain things. But I will say, in the sense of like dark money organizations, shadow organizations, if you will, because we can go down that rabbit hole too. People don't know about that, but that creates and nurses an environment for corruption and in turn gatekeeping. So I'm curious your thoughts on that, or have you heard?
So, and okay, my general thought on gatekeeping is, like, I understand people's natural tendency to want to gatekeep, especially when it's something that they care a lot about. They create an organization, or they make a community group or whatever, and it's something that is very precious to them, and so they want to make sure that they're only letting the quote unquote right people get involved. That's my general thought on gatekeeping. I understand why they do it. I think it's bullshit, but I understand the natural inclination towards that. In terms of, like, gatekeeping, like, locally, in terms of politics, what's interesting to me is that okay, so we live in a city. Most urban areas lean Democrat. We of our like 60 of like our 6,000 normal voters every
Right.
year, 2/3 of them are Democrats registered.
Right.
What's funny to me is, like, I don't even know how much I should necessarily be saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyways because fuck it.
Okay.
I was at a polling place on election day. I talked to someone that is involved with the Democratic Party locally that I've never spoken with before. And we talked a little bit about my politics and me running as a third party candidate and trying to start this new third party. And basically what they said to me is, it seems like, oh, like, we have a lot in common politically. We yada, yada, yada. why don't you just join the Democrats? We have money, we have resources, we have.
I am so sick of this shit.
And it's like what's hilarious though is that simply by me running and by me offering people another option that's to the left of the current Democrats in the city, they're like, oh, hey, nice little white dude that wants to speak about these things. Why don't you just come here? You know, we can nurture you. We can give you resources and X, Y, and Z. And, you know, we'll make you a real good Democrat, buddy. Don't worry. We'll get you in there. I don't want that. I told them that. I don't want that. I'm good. Thank you.
Same here.
I understand that you guys, like, I understand that on, like, a state and a federal level, there's political utility to adhering to the two-party system.
Right.
But on a local level, it does not have to be like that at all, brother. It does not have to be like that at all.
It really is, like, people don't get, like, when I say grassroots, I mean grassroots. And I think that scares people. I think it scares a lot of people. And I think that's part of the wall of gatekeeping, the need to have it, is like that delicate balance being disrupted by someone that isn't glittering the way that they've polished them.
Yeah, and they're just they do want people who are gonna speak on certain things and that are gonna speak out and have their own ideas and mindsets, but they want to make sure that they're the ones holding the power and the resources and all that. So that way, if you go too far, you'll start to lose out on things. That's why I don't want to get involved at all.
I was gonna say, and that's a big problem. I don't understand how people don't see that. Even growing up, that was something that I found very disturbing. Well, what I found disturbing was just how there was just only two parties, and I felt like, so I just felt like it was always weird. Excuse me, not the part about the two parties, but just watching politicians on TV. It just all seemed very phony and weird and creepy.
It is.
So I was like, what the fuck is this? But like, I was always interested and curious in it. So like, my grandpa and my grandmother, like, I always just sat and watched the news and watched and talked about politics with them. And so even though I cannot fucking stand politicians, I care greatly about steering this country. Well, fuck this country. Steering the humans within these quote unquote borders into the right direction. I truly wholeheartedly care about that, and that's it. It will act in actual politics, but not these so-called politicians.
I find it interesting that you mentioned your grandparents and like talking about politics with them, because something that people ask me a lot, because like I'm involved in politics, my brother's involved in politics locally. They're like, so what happened in your house that you guys are talking about this, you're doing this? And I'm like, honestly, we never talked about politics. I didn't talk about it with my great-grandparents who I spent time with. I didn't talk about it with my mom or my dad. I didn't even really think about politics till I heard about this guy, Bernie Sanders. Now we talk about politics because it seems like everybody does. But I did not grow up in a political household. If anything, not that we were like Republicans, but we were just kind of that centrist, middle class, white fucking family.
See, I mean, for me, because, and this is just me naturally, and is why I have such a passion, but like I have a thirst for knowledge. So from day one, I was given books out the ass. So I had like a whole little library. I was like the little knowledge ball. I needed to like gain as much knowledge as possible. I still am that fucking way. And so my mother, yeah, she fed me books and stuff, but she can give a fuck about politics. It never was her thing. And being around my grandparents and having that exposure, it just made me want more, but I knew I could get it from them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was always that. But elsewhere, no, I didn't have that exposure. Do you know what I mean? It just so happened that I lucked out and was able to get that from them. And had I not, I don't think I would have. I don't know when I would have gotten into politics, if ever. And it's not that I got into politics, but I always like kept up on it as much as possible.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like there's so much fucking shit going on that I can't ever expect anyone to be on top of everything. No way in hell.
Facts.
But if there are things you care about, yeah, just keep up to date on it when you can. You know, like I'm really really hoping that after this winter, as we continue to see COVID kind of subside and weather gets nice again, I'm really hoping people are going to go back out and protest. I'm hoping people are going to go have public conversations about things, because I feel like what we saw after George Floyd is we saw like millions of people all across the world.
So true.
The world go out and talk about these things, and then we all kind of went home. I shouldn't say all of us, but the mass of us went home, and the mass is what scares the people in power.
Right. They went home, they went to work, and then they forgot.
Yeah. Because like I remember that it was like every day on my Instagram, you couldn't get away from people posting on their story about the bail fund and the protests and the. Where is that now? Where is that now? I post that stuff quite a bit on my story because that stuff I still care about. But some of those same people, they're quiet.
Yep.
And I get it. Like, there's only so much you can do when you have work and you're at college and X, Y, and Z. But like, it was easy enough for you to share that thing on social media. Then what happened, bro? Did it not become like that? You know, mainstream appealing thing anymore? Is that not what the cool kids are doing anymore? Like, what's up?
That's exactly what it is. And it breaks my heart. And it makes me, at first I was really bitter about it. I'm not going to lie. But then I was like, you know what? Like you said, I get it. But then it went from I get it to like, y'all get it too, because y'all woke the fuck up last year. So y'all clearly get it, but y'all are choosing to do what y'all are doing. So I don't get it. And I'm not going to feel bad. You choose what you choose to fucking do. And there's a role that you can take, even with doing what you're doing with your current life and lifestyle. Doesn't matter how big or small, just an act of anything. Just do a little research when you have time. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Say a prayer. Donate something. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. I just want you to. I do care because I want you to care.
And I think, you know, it's just like, that's why I ran for city council. That's why me and my brother and some of our other friends are trying to start something bigger than just us, is because like people, especially young people, we're kind of just in this place in life where it's like, man, we're so fucked. What's the point? I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna party and I'm gonna get my bag up and and yes, do those things. They're good for you. Yes, do those. But I'm trying to be as involved as I can. I'm trying to get other people involved, because if you show people that there is a path forward, they might not be leaders, but they'll be followers, they'll be pushers, they'll be doers.
I found that the key is the balance of making sure that you have that self-care, that time to like go on vacation, do things, but make sure that you're also being active and activating other people to be active and doing your part as a cell in this human consciousness. And that's all that you can do is simply inspire other people. But I would appreciate it if you got the fuck out there and did something with yourself and contributed. As long as you're making sure that you're taking care of your mental health and going out and having fun too, because that's also part of showcasing the yin and yang of life. Like you need to feel good about yourself amongst all the bad things going on in life.
Yeah. And like even in my day-to-day life, like lately I've been grappling with this feeling that like, for example, when I got out of high school, I started working at a grocery store and I was a janitor for 3 years. Not a very nice job, you know, but I worked at fucking Whole Foods. So I actually got paid decently and like straight
word.
out of high school,
Yeah.
janitor, whatever. And now I'm working at like an entertainment company, a pretty big one, and music is my passion. I've always been involved in music and theater and X, Y, and Z, and like working at this entertainment company sounded really cool. And it is cool, it is nice. I'm still making decent enough money, but I go to work and I'm like, damn, like what am I really doing? I'm fucking providing shit for super rich fucking people. Whereas I was a janitor before, and yeah, it wasn't glamorous, but that's a job that needs to get done. And I felt like I was actually doing something for everyday people.
Right. Yep. I know exactly how
You know what I mean? Like I've been thinking a lot about like maybe I need to go either volunteer or go back to school or whatever and get involved in like social work. I feel like that's something that would really feed my soul, is just the day to day helping people.
Well, even though there's like this populace that like still was so-called woke and then went back to work, there's a lot of people that did go back to work only so that they could say, fuck this, I'm doing something better. And they are following their dreams, or they're working towards following their dreams. And so, I mean, there's that yin yang again. But you know, maybe this is just a step on the staircase. You know.
Yeah. No, I had someone ask my brother the other day, like, so what is Joey doing with his life? Like, what does he want to do career wise? And my brother asked that to me after the fact, and I was like, bro, I'm just trying to make enough money to survive, hopefully stay with my partner, and have some kids, whether they're mine biologically or not. I want to be somebody's dad. I want to be somebody's grandpa,
Right.
and then hopefully I want to die peacefully, and that's it. That's a wrap. Like,
Yo, that's for real. That is beautiful. A, and B, that's definitely something that is to be cherished, to ask for, that anyone should ask for, honestly. Um, they say you only get one life, that you only get one experience of the perception of this life, is what I think people really mean. But you could play out lives in your head and choose the one that best fits you. So, I mean, you know, there's different eras within a lifetime. You know, I'm fucking about to be 33.
damn, Jay, I thought you look good for 33, bro. Chill.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but
I'm always bad with people's ages. People be like, yeah, I'm like 42. I'm like, damn, what do you mean, bro?
I mean, no, seriously, I get called all the time, like, you gotta be 19, 20, you gotta be 21. I'm like, I'm 32. And it's looking back now, it's like my whole 20s was its own era. And it's like boxed into this whole thing. And my teens are kind of in a different era of its own, in a sense. And it's all also a blur.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I'm damn near coming to 40, and I'll be able to, like, I even like now I'm 33 and I can look back 20 years. Like I remember 2000. You know what I mean? So like, it's just like, for me, I do feel old in my head. But I know that I have a lot of more eras to go because of what I've already went through. I can gauge like, okay, that's a 20-year period, and I've got a couple more 20-year periods. So like this past 20-year period that I witnessed, there's whole 10 years before that. And I remember those 10 years. Well, not all of them,
Right.
I remember a good, you know, 6 to 7 of them very vividly. So that perception of time leads me to like think that the rest of my life will be like just as slow paced, filled with tons of great things, God willing, and all. But also, they say that your perception of time as you age, it gets shorter because of the amount of time that you've already experienced. So I want to prove that wrong. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I wake up every day and like, yeah, like, could my life be better? Hell yeah, it could. But I'm just grateful for the life I have right now. Especially like for me, bro. Like, shout out to my partner. Without them, I wouldn't have ran for city council if I didn't have that unconditional support. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have. My family, just like any other family, has problems, but my family's there when you need them to be. So I just wake up every day and try to be grateful. And then I take my bum ass to work.
I feel you on that. Being grateful is what we need to continue to remember. We don't do a lot of stopping to be grateful for just waking up, period. Again, it can be difficult because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things we need to accomplish. How do I want to frame this? There's people that get up and conduct a train. There's people that get up and fly a plane. There are people that get up and conduct surgery. There are people that get on a stand to commit perjury. But no matter what it is that you do, why am I rhyming? Just make sure that you stay true to you. It's important. No matter what it is that you're doing, you have a role to play in the cosmic world, the cosmic ways of the universe. And I can't help but trust that wherever it is that you're in your life at this point in time, it's supposed to be that way, even if it's like really shitty or like bullshitty, or you think it's bullshitty, you're still actually really motherfucking blessed. Why do I keep wanting to rhyme? I must confess.
Maybe something's coming out. You into poetry?
I do write poems like all the time. So
there you go.
Yeah, but like I don't always rhyme in my poems. So, like that's just fucking weird. But yeah, no, I just dig the ways of the world and how things play out and manifest. Because when you think like something's over, it's usually just beginning. So that's just like a little bit of encouragement I want to give you on your journey politically, but as a young buck as well, because there's like a lot of great things to come. Like I remember being 22. I do remember 21. I don't remember 20. I barely remember 19 or 18. I remember 17. But my point is that like it just compacts. And the things that are significant at a point in time really aren't in hindsight. And so like that's something I need to practice and preach to myself. But yeah, that was a little bit of tidbit of advice.
Thank you. Yeah, like I mean, going back to the conversation we were having before we went live, like having elders, having people who've been around that can show you a little bit. It's not like they're going to give you all the answers, but they can give you insight.
It's through the stories for me. Like, my pop could tell a story. Like, he had tons of fucking stories. So that was something that always, like, when you get emotion or, like, just a distinct voice behind something, you soak up the information more, I guess. And I know with Black folk, it's stories galore, you know what I mean? And we're losing them fast. So for me, it was like I need to soak up as much as I can now while he's still here, because I know he's not going to be here like that much longer. So yeah, and I'm glad that I was able to do. I'm glad that I actually followed my gut and went hard in the paint with the Leon block, and now it means so much more because it's also like in his memory, you know. So I find that really fucking good. And here I am supposed to be like interviewing you as my guest, and I feel like you're like co-host tonight.
No, we're just having a conversation.
For real though.
Yeah.
And I told you, like, I really, like I said, you know, Joey ran for city council, but my show is not. I'm anti-mainstream media, so why would I touch on what people think you're gonna do? You're not gonna do. You're gonna sit here and we're gonna shoot the fucking shit. We may touch on politics, and yes, we'll acknowledge what you did because it's awesome, it's commendable. People need to know and be aware of it, but there's a purpose behind why you did it, and that's more of what we're speaking to. And people will see and understand that by hearing you speak truth to power and the things that you're passionate about based off of the things that we talk about and what you're saying. You know what I mean? That's a gem. That's important. That is what media should be. You know,
one thing I always hate, and like obviously we've been going for like an hour now, so we can cut it whenever you want to cut it. But one thing I always hate is when someone on the news has like a politician or a CEO or whatever, and they're trying to put them in a corner with these questions, and then they're like, I know we only have 30 more seconds, but can you, motherfucker, you got minutes, you got time. Come on, let's talk about it. Why are you trying to get out of here?
For real. Okay, let's break this down, because on one side you got the politicians that like to just shimmy on their way out of a question every single fucking chance they get. So it's just a bunch of fucking dry ass, like non-seasoned mashed potatoes, clumpy as hell, that's just sitting in your mouth like sandpaper. What the fuck you gonna do with that? And then you got the media who's asking dry ass questions and on a time frame, so nothing marinates in your head. You're not soaking any of that shit up. And this is what we're fed. No wonder no one wants to eat. It's not substantial. It's not nurturing. It's not fulfilling. It's not filling your cup because it's not meant to. It's meant to damage. It's meant to disrupt. It's meant to discourage. It's meant to disinform, keep you away. It's meant to disinterest you. So no wonder no one wants to hear what any of these motherfuckers have to say, let alone we don't anyway, because we already know what they're going to say. Nothing. But the point is, it's a reciprocative, it's a recycling bin. It's the same bullshit, whether it's the media or the politicians. They feed each other. Let's not even get into the whole lobbyists. Like, that's a whole nother thing.
Yo, okay, so we talked a bit about the media. We talked a little bit about, like, people on social media. Like, so what's up with this metaverse that Zuckerberg's trying to do?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I've been waiting to like find the right moment to get into this, because now when you go on Facebook Messenger, it says from Meta, and then you go on Facebook, like I go into Facebook, it says Facebook from Meta. So what the fuck is it? And also, it's just weird to see another name, and I'm not gonna call it Meta.
Yeah, it's Facebook.
It's fucking Facebook. It's gonna always fucking be fucking Facebook.
Like, I do think that to a certain extent, what him and mainly that company are trying to do is like cool in the sense that that's kind of the way society's heading anyways, but like the fact that it's Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook doing it, it's sus as hell.
So what do you mean by like what everyone's gonna do, like rebranding?
No,
what is the
like,
meaning behind what's Meta? Is it a different company?
Well, okay, so my understanding is it's supposed to be like the parent company now of Facebook. So like Google's parent company is Alphabet. No one really fucking talks about Alphabet. They just talk about Google. Meta I believe is supposed to be Facebook's parent company.
So Facebook got bought in a sense? Acquired?
Yeah, but
does Zuckerberg run Meta?
Yes.
Oh my fucking god!
Yes.
Oh my fucking god!
So,
what the fuck? So it's just a ploy of a rebranding?
Yes.
What the fuck?
But they are trying to, like, that's the thing, is he's trying to offer a different service in like this virtual world where people can conduct work and socialize. You didn't see his fucking weird ad for it?
I haven't gotten wind of any of this, bro.
Oh, okay, yeah. So basically, it's like it's supposed to be like a virtual world, like a VR world, where people can go and you can have like a business meeting in this place. You can have, you guys can go out for drinks, even though you'll be at home. Everyone logs in and you do the thing together. It's like the new.
So he's basically trying to put Skype and Zoom and all those motherfuckers out of business too.
Yeah, he's trying to build.
It's just more monopolizing.
He's trying to build some sort of fucking like
virtual reality
sphere
for people to go to and escape their reality.
Yeah,
even more so than Facebook.
Exactly. And so like,
as if what he's already done isn't bad enough.
Yeah.
He just wants to make it worse because it's just a distraction, but it's essentially even worse. This is my opinion.
No, I'm pretty much in agreement with you. Like, I think that it's cool. I think that it's pretty cool.
I think it's sly.
But yeah, exactly.
I'll give him that.
But yeah, I was just curious what you thought about that because, like, I don't really follow a whole lot of tech shit. Right. But from what I've been hearing people talk about, like, I really don't see this getting adopted by regular everyday people because it's just so fucking sus.
Well said. I completely agree with every fucking word. I don't think anyone's gonna really pay attention to it. People use Facebook, even though they hate it, they use it for the convenience and the accessibility and the connections. If Meta takes off, it'll be a while before it takes off, but there are already so many other entities that have been established. Meta's going to have to do a lot of catching up to really like prove itself. But because of the skepticism of Facebook already, I'm not going to pay it any mind. I don't want to. I think it's a big problem, and I don't want anything to do with it whatsoever. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's just people are trying to make a virtual world. We got so many problems in the real one.
For real, though. You know what? I really don't think he will have much of a problem getting a sizable amount of people sucked into this. If he markets it the right way. Some kind of goons are gonna jump on this shit. Unfortunately. I hate to be negative Nancy, but you know what? Fuck it. And fuck him. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Fuck his ass. Joey, I want to thank you for coming on again. Like, seriously, it's been a pleasure. As usual. And you're welcome back to Leon Block any fucking time to talk about any topic. And you don't even have to come through. We can just do it on a joint too, anytime. I got your brother coming through on Sunday. You were saying something about the calendar. What were you looking at?
Oh no, I was looking at Cuba the Cameraman movie. I didn't watch it yet, but it popped up on my Netflix last night.
There was a watching
with the
viewing for it today. Yeah, and I missed it. I was just tired, and I feel bad because I gotta catch that shit. I do want to watch the movie. Sorry, I'm drinking. I got the fucking, we got that air bubble you want to burp up, but it's not coming. God damn it. List any plugs you want to list, any information you want people to look you up on.
So my social media is just gonna be like on Facebook, I'm just Joey Dastra. Instagram, it's gonna be at Dastra Joey. But you can probably just look up Joey Dastra and you'll find me. In terms of political shit, the Gold Goose Party, that's what me and my brother are working on. You can go to our website, www.goldgoose.party. I don't know, like, fuck, man, if anyone locally hears this before the date, November 27th, you can catch my band, The Rundowns, at Tobias Frog.
What's that at? Sounds familiar.
Tobias Frog. Okay, I'm really bad with directions once you get outside the city, but I know it's not far outside the city.
Okay.
Yeah. But if anyone finds me on Facebook, I'm gonna share it on my Facebook. So.
Awesome. What's the name of your band?
The Rundowns. Although that might be pending a change because that was the name they picked before me and the drummer joined. And I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I'm not gonna talk smack on them. I love them a lot. They're all like grown-ass men with wives and kids. Yeah, I'm a
gotcha.
young
The vibe of the band has changed,
Yeah.
which in turn does require a name change.
Yeah.
So, no, completely understand that. Yeah, anything else you want to drop, any knowledge you want to drop, let them know.
No, honestly, I'll be back. I'll come with some heat.
That's right. Yes, actually, because I wanted to throw y'all in the same week separately. So I have you tonight, and then I got Tony on Sunday, and then hopefully sometime next week or the following week, I would have both y'all on here in person to drop it down, lay it down. Thank y'all for tuning into the Leon Block. As usual, meditate on your path, celebrate your being, liberate your spirit, and educate yourself. I'm Jontel. Arm yourself with knowledge and have a blessed journey.